follow with Unpacking the Green Economy for a 10-minute presentation. We go into the next section, which is green growth, the opportunities. It will start with Elise's highlights of the DSBD study on green opportunities, 10 minutes, and then Tutuko talking on green hydrogen opportunities, and then opportunities in the green vehicles market. Following that, from 10:45, each of the presentations in the opportunity section is 10 minutes. Following that, at 10:45, we have Ntoita, Kuan, and Ariane immediately afterwards, from about 11:05. Then the case studies will follow. Kanja will start, rest will start, then Sibongile, Magritte, and Andre. You all have more or less 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Rest, I think we've allocated 10 minutes to you, about 7 minutes to Sibongile, Magritte, and Andre. I think you also have 7 to 10 minutes. We go into the Q&A. What I wanted to say is that if we go slightly over and there are a lot of questions, it'll probably be worthwhile. It is the first event of this kind. So it'll probably be worthwhile just going over time slightly, and then Kefue from DSBD will be doing the wrap up and all the acknowledgements at the end. Let me know if you have any questions.
Carla, Mariam here. 11:05 might be slightly early for Ariane. As I told you, she's engaged in a different engagement until 11. And then she has another one at 12. So, well, if we have a little bit of delay, it will work. But just to warn you that 11:05 might be little short for her. In such case, I suppose she could talk after.
Yeah, she could talk after the case studies, and then we'll go into the case studies a little bit earlier.
But at 12 o'clock, she has to leave again, as I told you. So it's a bit.
Sorry, Carla, can I just make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Can Mariam or even Ariane maybe drop you a text when they're ready, when Ariane is ready, and maybe you can just communicate to me so that I can see how I maneuver the program to slot her in so that she's not late for 12 o'clock.
Okay, all right, no problem, no problem. Yes, that's a very good idea, actually.
So I read to who? Billy, I don't think I have your contact details.
You can drop, you can.
Are we ready to start?
Attendees are just joining in, Billy. So
okay, I'll give it to about 50 people joining in, and then I'll start.
Yes, we'll just give them a few minutes as they come in, and then you can then get started.
Okay.
Yeah. Billy, I think we can start. I can see the numbers seem to be stabilizing now, so maybe we can get going. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Billy Bukako. I am the head of incubation at SEDA. I'd like to welcome all colleagues and participants in this MADE event today. Market Access for Digital Entrepreneurs is a SEDA and Department of Small Business Development series dedicated to new tech SMMEs. It has been supported by the EDSE program and made possible through the funding from the European Union. Excuse me. I am very pleased to announce that today's event is a collaboration with some key role players in the green economy space. That includes the Department of Small Business Development, the Innovation Hub, Hatchery, Indalo Inclusive, and Green Cape, and the business owners who have agreed to share their stories. In recent years, the green economy has been regarded as the future of the world, rightfully so. Climate change, losses in biodiversity, and inequality are issues that have started impacting countries around the globe. The green economy is no longer a dream, but a reality. With it comes opportunity for innovation, entrepreneurship, and employment. Opportunities in the just energy transition, the circular economy are growing. Today's session is targeted at small businesses and entrepreneurs, and it aims to unpack some of the main issues pertinent for some businesses trying to make use of the opportunities created in this new area. We will be looking at what the green economy is and what the latest trends are. Then we will focus on opportunities and markets in the green economy, including programs and initiatives supported by the European Union in South Africa. The session will be followed by a presentation on where green entrepreneurs can find support, and finally, learnings and insights from startups in the green economy space. You will be able to place your comments and questions in the Q&A session. We have dedicated time at the end to answer your questions. Our agenda is very packed with valuable information, so I will ask speakers to be very careful about the time allocated. I will let you know when you have 1 minute to wrap up. Please don't be intimidated by my deep voice. I will just silently nudge to hand over to the next speaker. Okay, without wasting any further time, I will then hand over to our next speaker and our first speaker for the day. Our first speaker for the day is Elise Harting, and she will be unpacking what the green economy space is. There's been a lot of talk around the green economy being a sector, the green economy being a philosophy that can be applied across multiple businesses and sectors, and we will hear exactly what Elise's insights are. Just to give you a little bit of background on who Elise is, Elise Harting has been actively involved in the sustainable development arena for about 15 years. Currently, she serves as a senior specialist on green economy for the ecosystem development for small enterprises program and technical advisor for trade industry policy strategies, TIPS, and the Global Energy Transformation Project of the German Agency for International Cooperation. Before this, she headed up Waste to Wing, a Switch Africa Green Project, and was incubation manager at the South African Renewable Energy Business Incubator. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Elise. Elise, please take the stage or the virtual one. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Really happy to be here today, and thank you for all the entrepreneurs that is joining today. My objective is really today to help demystify a few of the concepts around the green economy. And some of you might hear ideas, like Billy said, around it being a philosophy, being a sector. So that's really what I would like you to walk away with today, as a very clear understanding of how we are framing it from the Department of Small Business perspective. So once we have a handle on that door, it is really much easier to plan interventions around different industries, and also to look at the barriers that entrepreneurs are experiencing. So let me start with my presentation sharing. I just want to ask the coordinator, would you like me to share, or are you ready for me to share on your side?
You're more than welcome to share, Elise. It's fine.
Thank you so much. All right, just give me 1 minute for that. Just 1 second. Thank you very much. Right. So I think it's going to be maybe quite a lot of information for everybody today to digest. So I'll try and keep it short. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the opportunities, but first we'd like to really just talk about this green economy. So behind me, you can see while the presentation is loading, I always like to use this image. It is really about us moving towards a greener economy. And in doing so, we'd like to do it in a just transition way, so that we are not leaving anybody behind, that we are mindful of everybody wants to be involved in this transitioning process. And the objective mainly is for us to decarbonize our economy because of climate change pressures that we are having. And I'll go into a little bit more detail around that. All right, so first, just a brief introduction about the green economy, then looking at climate change and the role of SMEs in climate adaptation and mitigation. Then we're going to talk a little bit about net zero and the carbon emission targets for 2050 that our country is set, and also globally how this is connected to the rest of the world. Then very important to talk about things that people don't often want to talk about is about green business barriers. It's not easy. Today is not all about how exciting it is. We need to acknowledge that there's still barriers because it's still fairly new green industries that we're developing. So the early days, I've seen it from my 15 years in this area of work, that we are currently really picking up speed. So we're no longer going 40 or 60 kilometers per hour. I think we're more going towards 120 kilometers per hour. So things are moving very quickly, and we need to acknowledge barriers to see how we can unlock that and really fasten this process towards decarbonization. Then I'm going to just briefly talk about the solution. So we really hope that from a national department, the Department of Small Business Development, is also looking at developing a green economy roadmap so that we can actually have a very clear plan and how we are going to put plans in place and measures and interventions for financial and non-financial support for green entrepreneurs. So yes, it's a busy, busy space. I think a lot of you are sometimes also a little confused because there's a lot happening and it is quite complex. It's very natural to feel a little confused because it's like a big chocolate cake. That's what I always say to people in my non-economist language. Imagine the economy as a big chocolate cake. It's got 8 slices, and these slices presents 8 industries. And I'll take you through these industries. And then we have all the icing layers within each slice of the chocolate cake, where we want youth engagement, women's owned businesses to engage. We have technology development. We've got access to finance challenges. So it's a very, very complex space. But I think it's quite important that we understand there's also a range of barriers for fragmentation, lack of coordination, because if we're looking at the water sector, or we're looking at the transport sector or construction sector or agriculture, there's different role players and stakeholders engage in these sectors. And we are trying to put an orchestra together to harmonize the efforts, conductor, to try and see how we can smooth out some of the speed bumps and fill up some of the potholes along the way. All right, so obviously, I think some of the barriers that really just stands out that we want to acknowledge, and we're looking forward to the engagement of the entrepreneurs today as well, is a lack of access to information. So that's why we are here today. We'd like to share some information. And then also poor understanding of the pathways towards these opportunities. So we're going to clarify that for you. And the very, very big pain point, obviously, always is financing gaps. All right. This picture, I'm just going to close my camera for a minute, yeah, so that you can get the full view. This is a diagram that can kind of show you a little bit of a demystifying this busy space. So we've got in the middle, the SMEs in the green economy. Then we have this really big pressure to reduce our carbon emissions. We've got job creation and skills development. We want to improve our resilience in the country, especially from an adaptation perspective. How do we become more resilient against the fires, the droughts, the floods, and all the things that climate change is throwing at us. And recently also an earthquake in Boksburg and Pretoria area. So how can we become more resilient against these changes of the energy crisis, water crises, and how do we create at the end of the day enabling ecosystems? Now, all of these factors have different dependencies, and I'm not going to go into too much detail around that, but I just wanted to give you an understanding of how complex it is. Then we also have 9 green key economic programs in the country, and there's different role players across departments involved in this. Then we also have think tanks. Today we have lots of incubators in Dalu. We've got Green Cape with the market intelligence report. We have so many hatchery and also a couple of others that's going to share with you what they are doing. But it's a busy space, lots is happening. And what we are trying to do with the EDSE program is to also collate all of the information so that they are more at a central space and that the stakeholders can engage with us so that we avoid duplications and we make sure that our efforts in the green economy is really targeted to where it's needed. So the green sectors, the 8 that I mentioned to you, I'm just briefly going to go over them. We've got agriculture, we've got buildings and the built environment, so the construction industry. We've got energy efficiency and clean energy, resource conservation and management, which is your biodiversity sector, sustainable consumption and production, and then transport and infrastructure, waste management and water. And they have various subsectors. But this is for me a very important acknowledgement to all the green entrepreneurs that's already in this meeting today and those that might still be joining the green economy and green industries. Your role is incredibly important. And I've got a table here to pinpoint why you are very important. So I'm just going to go a little bit over the key points. For a local green entrepreneur, plays a very important role in the green economy. So we've got SMEs on the left side, understanding their role in the green economy, but now we've got a green entrepreneur. And they contribute to greater inclusion. They reduce inequality. Small businesses contribute to economic empowerment. They foster community and rural development, and they drive the development of social and green businesses, a very important role. Now, if we take this in the context of climate change and the crisis, we need to prepare for more fire seasons, ensure disaster and public health plans account for more severe weather, storms, wind conditions, protect farms and food supply from climate impacts, protect our air quality, what we're breathing, our shelter, smart townships, where we live, and how we are resilient in terms of our infrastructure around climate change. Then we've got transport infrastructure. I think you can recall with the floods in KZN, what happened to the roads when all that floods came down? It was devastating to logistics and the transport sector because goods couldn't flow that easily anymore. Then the rise of challenging sea levels, the floods, we see that more and more. We've got water security, the KZN example when there was the toxicity from the fertilizer plant that exploded, then it polluted all the water bodies, and then the floods came and broke the contamination dams. An absolute provincial disaster. Localization is key, if we want to become more decentralized and give service provision. We all are feeling this very painful crisis of load shedding. So to have more energy security, rooftop PV, if we have our own water tanks, every house should have a water tank to be able to harvest your own water. And next generation sanitation, very important, very interesting new development, and the toilets that we use, that's more circular economy, food gardens, organic material waste management at a household level. These are one of the key things that at a household level and a community level will become more and more important. All right, now let's look at climate change and SMEs. Yes, we all had the COVID pandemic. If you can see the first wave there, we had a recession, economic recession. We've got climate change we're dealing with. We've got the biodiversity collapse. And South Africa, on top of this, we've got load shedding and we've got potholes and infrastructure problems. So it's not so easy, but it is also very exciting times for SMEs who have solutions for all these problems. So we need to talk about the impact of climate change, the drive to net zero. I'll go a bit more into that. But also how it's going to impact supply chains and the SMEs that need capacity building to adapt to remain competitive within greening their businesses. So then we're also going to be talking a little bit about climate finance. You know, we're going to need to talk about the net zero transition, and we need to make sure that we don't leave any entrepreneur behind. So again, in a summary, climate change is the greatest challenge for our times, creating conflict and threatening our food security, water security, ecosystems, health, infrastructure, national economies, and the livelihoods and well-being of people in our local communities. And this results in an increasing demand and stresses on the government structures and institutions to address all these impacts. We cannot expect our government to address all the load shedding problems. We need to work together as entrepreneurs and local communities to solve and become more resilient. All right, so if we're looking at climate mitigation and adaptation solutions, I'm going to quickly go over this. Billy, I'm mindful of the time. We are looking at an adaptation mitigation continuum. So we're looking at carbon neutral transport, renewable energy on the mitigation side. We've got waste management, water and energy conservation in the middle. And then from the adaptation perspective is protection against floods and droughts, adaptation of building and infrastructure design. So this is just for those in the room. We want to understand when we talk about climate mitigation and adaptation, what is examples of this? This is another one we can talk about. It goes across the built environment, energy industry, livelihoods, land use, forest, and ecosystems. All right. Feel free to go Google a bit more if you want information, but I think it's quite important. With climate mitigation and adaptation, it presents opportunities. Climate finance is coming more increasingly to South Africa, and climate finance providers are also looking for entrepreneurs who can address the climate vulnerabilities and look at adaptation investments. And you can see it's across the agri sector. We're looking at construction and real estate, food processing, forestry, hydropower, insurance, mining technology, thermal power, and transport. So let's quickly just talk about net zero. It's very important. I always say to people, there is 3 things in life you cannot escape. Now, as entrepreneurs, you understand how important it is to do your tax returns. SARS knows where you live. They know your ID. You cannot escape your tax compliance. Then death. None of us can escape death. All right. And the third one is this new 2050 net zero line in the sand. We cannot cross this line. Why? Because our planet is increasingly heating up. The oceans are becoming warmer. It's creating natural disasters. We need to ideally maintain a 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature to make sure that our planet is a habitable planet. Now, South Africa is one of the 14th largest emitters of greenhouse gases.
30 seconds.
Yes, thank you. All right, thank you so much. So this is just to give you an indication of everything that's happening in the space. And we are busy with a green economy roadmap to unpack all of this for the Department of Small Business so that they can understand what is their role. And we've recently done a green business barrier to understand what barriers needs to be addressed. So thank you, Billy. I'm going to stop here and I'll see you guys a little bit later when I'm going to be talking more about the opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elise, for demystifying terminologies that otherwise can be intimidating to some people who are not privy to the space that we operate in, and also for emphasizing the importance of our individual role in achieving these important and ambitious green goals. So the next session is very exciting, but I would like to thank everybody for attending. We are now sitting at about 105 participants, and we would like to thank you all for taking the time to be part of this webinar today. Okay, we are stepping into the core of today's webinar. Where are all the opportunities for small businesses? What sectors are most open? And during the next session, we'll realize from a study commissioned by the DSBD, and this will be presented by Elise, who headed up the study. I would like to also introduce 2 other speakers within this segment that will be speaking after Elise. And Tutoko Nyandeni is from the Innovation Hub, and he will be talking about green hydrogen opportunities. Tutoko is a senior manager at the Innovation Hub, focusing on identifying and commercializing clean tech and startup. Over the past 10 years, he has worked as a technical advisor in several incubators and was also the director of enterprise development at CEGE Consulting and an investment bank. Tutuko and Elise are going to be joined by Kieran Solomon from the Green Cape program, who will be talking about opportunities in the automotive value chain. We're talking about e-mobility solutions. The Green Cape is an organization that drives green solutions in a variety of areas, from market access, industry and government support, policy advisory, and sustainability research. Kieran is a green finance analyst at the organization. He's got a background in banking and research, and he has a master's in development finance. So for the next 30 minutes, colleagues, we will have talk from Elise, who will be talking about the highlights of the Department of Small Business Development study on green opportunities. After that, Ntutuko will follow on green hydrogen opportunities. And lastly, Kieran will be giving us the opportunities in the electric vehicles market. I guess it's over to you again, Elise. Cheers.
Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward now for the exciting part, just to give you a brief overview of the study. So for the couple of past 4 months, we've been doing an investigation into which opportunities presents itself in green industries. So the presentation, I'm just briefly going to take you through what the study aimed to achieve. And then I'd like to spend just a bit more detail really on the actual findings. All right, so we've done this for the EDSE, and we were appointed by the Department of Small Business Development via the EU delegation to do the study. And we're looking at 8 sectors at the day. And the objective really was to identify green technologies, access to market opportunities, looking at value chains, project locations, investment flows, mechanisms, and access to finance. Who's the stakeholders and what is the SME barriers to entry for these opportunities? And then the outcome really would be to take stock, and we will present a bit more visibility in terms of fact sheets that we'd like to distribute to everybody that attended today at the end of June, that you can have visibility on what opportunities are presented within your sector. I also want to acknowledge obviously the work of Green Cape, who's doing detailed market analysis. I'm sure Green Cape can also share the link to their market intelligence studies, because these will take you into much more detail. This is just going to give you a very broad overview. All right, so I think it's important to understand when we talk about a green entrepreneur, you can identify yourself in the room today. Where do you fit? So we've got different green enterprises types, and then they are also in different sectors. So if we look at a type, you can either be providing a consulting service, advisory, financial, or capacity building service. Number B, be a manufacturer of green goods, products, or technologies, or equipment. C, a supplier of the green goods or products and equipment. D, an installer of the manufactured goods. E would be providing maintenance and repairs. And then F is an end user of the green goods. So you're procuring from another entrepreneur who's producing, just to make sure. And then these are also then within the 8 sectors. This was just our research process. So we can see the little green arrow there. We are now going towards completion of this study. So you are getting the first views today. And we really would like to make sure that the opportunities are well understood, so that everybody can understand what is the benefit of a green industry. How can we move towards decarbonization across sectors so that we are actually enhancing green industries? So a green industry offers a practical way to long-term economic growth and sustainable development. There are multiple benefits, and these would be to reduce raw material, increase security of supply, reduce pollution risk and cost, lower the cost of capital, increase your employee appeal and engagement, and increased awareness of emerging smart technologies, and enhance innovation capacity and skills. And some people might say, well, where does circular economy fits within it? So I think circular economy, just to not further confuse you, it's just more circular business models, where we are not extracting our fossil fuels and our non-renewables materials, but we are moving towards circular economy to make sure that the products that we use and the materials are less impacting on the decarbonization journey that we on. We want to be more circular and extend the lifespan of these products. So the findings, all right, I'm just going to take you in a very high level through this. So when we talk about agriculture, we're talking about sustainable agriculture, food production, fishery and forestry. So we're looking at regenerative agriculture. Some people talk about organic or permaculture. We're talking about climate smart technologies. We need our solar panels. We need water technologies to farm smarter. Sustainable fisheries, agroforestry, and also wine. Sustainable wine is important, and lots of movement within the organic wine production. So there you can have it. There's cannabis that stands out, lots more products, infusion within cosmetics, soaps, even food infusion. The area where I live in the deep south, we get pizza, we get coffee, we get chocolate, everything, even our water is cannabis infused from a nutrition perspective. So there's lots of new things happening within, I see some hands up here, lots happening within your climate smart agriculture. All right, and then it's important that you're not alone. When you're in climate smart agriculture, your business links to other sectors. You connect to renewable energy, you connect to the waste sector, to the water sector. It's really, really important that we're not looking at these in isolation. Biodiversity is the second one. So natural resources, biospecting and biotrade for indigenous species, looking at native plant nurseries, wildlife rehabilitation, conservation and restoration, biotechnology and ecotourism. That's all connected to these. Then we're looking at construction. Green building is more eco-friendly building materials, green roofing, sustainable landscaping, energy. We're looking at renewable and energy efficiency. Yeah, it's a lot. You can see how busy the space is. Solar installation, sales, distribution, your panel cleaning, repair and maintenance, energy trading, power grid design, solar water pumping system, wind energy installation, biofuel production, solar refrigeration systems, solar water heating systems. You can be energy auditor in the consulting industry, research and product development, remote cloud-based energy management, small specialist manufacturers that manufacture and supply components within the value chain, and then small importers, and then solar financing is also quite interesting. Transport, e-mobility. Yes, all right.
2 minutes,
Lydia, I'm going to
sorry.
wrap up here. Thank you so much. E-mobility, we all hear about electrical vehicle. You can be in the charging station installation management, electrical bikes and scooter rental, electrical vehicle conversion, electrical vehicle maintenance repair, and then recycling, I think is a little bit more well-known to all of us, but it's still important. Water harvesting, treatment and water flow, manufacturing, important packaging, eco-friendly products. This is an area where I think we are really moving towards more circular economy, secondhand stores, waterless car wash products, all the kind of sustainable fashion, handmade, natural organic products. So all your kind of sustainable consumption and production related. I'm going to stop here, Billy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Elise. I'm going to now, without wasting any further time, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Ntutuko Nyandeni. Over to you, sir. Hi, Ntutuko. Ntutuko, can you hear me? All right. I think, colleagues, in the interest of time, I would like to move over to Mr. Kewan Solomon, and we'll try and find out, whilst Ntutuko is sorting out technical glitches on his side. Kewan, please come in, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Kewan Solomon. I'm from an organization called Green Cape. Before I begin, I just want to thank the Department of Small Business and all the other colleagues online, as well as the entrepreneurs and all the other online participants. Sorry, I just need to share screen. Just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can, Kewan. You may carry on, sir.
Okay, so I'd just like to give a quick overview of what I'll be doing today, which is a quick introduction into Green Cape and the work we do, outlining the opportunities in the electric vehicle market space, highlighting additional opportunities in this space, identifying barriers, and also the key success stories in this market. So Green Cape is a not-for-profit sector-desk development agency which was established 13 years ago. This currently sits at the interface of academia, business, governments, to identify and remove barriers to economically viable green economy solutions. Green Cape was born out of the Western Cape government and later established a national footprint which now aims to work in developing countries to catalyze the replication and adoption of green economy solutions. We have a sector focus in circular economy, renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, water, and green finance. So every year we publish market intelligence reports which highlights investment opportunities in various sectors. The 2023 market intelligence reports were published in partnership with the UK Partnering for Accelerated Climate Transitions, which is the UK Pact, the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom, and the Western Cape Government Department of Agriculture. If you'd like to download any of the market intelligence reports to get more information, I've included a QR code on the screen which you could scan and get a direct link. These market intelligence reports highlight opportunities in the large-scale renewable energy, energy services, sustainable transport, sustainable agriculture, and water sectors. The focus of today's discussion will be on electric vehicles. So I'll just do an overview of the investment opportunities in the electric vehicle ecosystem. Electric vehicles is an emerging market which represents a relatively small share of the South African automotive industry, but this shows great promise to investors and businesses currently active and interested in the sector. There are 4 key market opportunities which include the local manufacturing and electrification of the public transport system, electro-micro-mobility for last-mile delivery, local manufacturing for electric private passenger vehicles, and local lithium-ion cell manufacturing. Highlighting the key drivers in each of these market opportunities, for local manufacturing and electrification of public transport, this is driven by rising fuel costs, the South African Green Transport Strategy, which has a 5% decarbonization target by 2050, government procurement policies which enable electric vehicle procurements, and the 80% bus body local component requirement for public procurements. In the electric micromobility and last mile delivery market opportunity, this is driven by the relative affordability of electro-micro vehicles, low input duties on these vehicles, ease of local assembly of complete knockdown kits, and local component supply chain, which currently exists. In the local manufacturing of electric private passenger vehicles, this is driven by the European Union's ban on internal combustion vehicles, which contributes a significant portion to the South African vehicle export sector. This is also driven by the Auto Green Paper for the advancements of new energy vehicles in South Africa and the high custom duty and ad valorem taxes that are applied to imported electric vehicles in South Africa. And the final key market opportunity for electric vehicles, this is driven by the need for lithium-ion batteries in many sectors such as energy, electric vehicles, consumer electronics, and other sectors both domestically and internationally. It's also driven by the availability and relative ease of resources like lithium, cobalt, nickel, manganese in South Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. This slide just highlights the relative market opportunities mapped out against the ease of market entry against the market growth potential, with electro-micro-mobility for last mile delivery having the highest ease of market entry and the highest market growth potential. This just shows the market sizing opportunity for electric vehicles in South Africa, with the light delivery vehicle market being the second largest electrification opportunity by volume with 2.7 vehicles, after the private passenger vehicle with 7.8 million vehicles. So some of the barriers towards electric mobility's transition in South Africa include the high capex cost, with most electric vehicles in South Africa being greater than R1 million, industrial capacity with limited local electric vehicle manufacturing capacity, skills as different types of manufacturing skill set is required, energy security, where renewable energy supply is required for charging. This just shows the growth of electric private passenger vehicle sales in South Africa from 2016 to 2022. And this is the electric vehicles are not affordable, and this indicates that barrier, with the highest electric vehicle being 3.3 million and the lowest being 600,000. So highlighting some of the key success stories of the electric vehicle pilots in South Africa, hoping to spur some ideas, get some investment opportunities, or maybe even partnerships with these companies for the investors and entrepreneurs on the line. One of the opportunities and success stories was the Electric Life Riders, which is an electric kick scooter, which has mobility as a service business model, making micromobility accessible to those who can't afford a vehicle. There's an opportunity for ride sharing and personnel, but the barrier is a lack of micromobility lanes and charging stations. Another successful electric vehicle pilot is Green Riders, which has an electric bicycle as a service business model, is involved in the last mile delivery, has partnered with Uber Eats, Bolt Foods, Pick and Pay ASAP, has currently 500 active e-bikes. All e-bikes and battery packs are assembled in Cape Town. Another success story is Go Electric, which is an electric moped in the last mile delivery, has a pilot with Spar online deliveries and has an opportunity in the last mile delivery. There's also Silence, which is an electric motorcycle in the last mile delivery, pilots with Checker 6060, and the opportunities for last mile delivery and personal mobility. Again, in that micro-mobility market, there's Mellow Vans, which is an electric three-wheeler manufactured in Cape Town, so it has 70% local components. It's engaged in the last mile delivery, has partnered with DHL, Takealots, and Skynet, is exporting to Europe in 2022, and the opportunity is e-hailing and last mile delivery. On the public transport market opportunity, we have Flex EV, which is an electric minibus taxi pilot in 2023. So they're importing right-hand drive electric minibus taxis for testing in South Africa. One of the barriers to this is high import taxes and duties, as electric vehicles are priced as luxury vehicles, so they have high import duties. An opportunity is having solar roof and charging stations at minibus taxi ranks with the local manufacturing opportunity. The city of Cape Town also has the Golden Arrow bus services, which has solar rooftop installations at depots in Cape Town, with the preparation for future charging facilities at the Golden Arrow bus station depot. There's pilot testing of 2 BYD batteries and electric buses in the program, with the opportunity of procurement of 60 electric buses a year from 2024 onwards. In the mining sector, there's also Anglo-American hydrogen fuel cell mining truck. The key driver of this opportunity was electric underground mining vehicles, which lowers the cost of cooling, ventilation, and fuel. A barrier to this is that large electric mining trucks take too long to charge, but there is an opportunity for hydrogen fuel cell mining that can be refueling faster than battery electric. There's also the Mini Cooper SE, which is the cheapest electric passenger vehicle in the South African market. Mini Cooper is developing public charging ecosystem powered by solar energy, and there's an opportunity for combining solar carports with EV charging stations. Additionally, in the EV charging station infrastructure, this also presents an opportunity, as private sector investment in public DC and AC charging stations is rapidly growing in the South African market, with currently there being 424 privately owned EV charging stations in South Africa. EV OEMs such as Great Cars, Rubicon, and ZimiCharge are the largest investors. This graph just displays those owners and the number of charging stations in South Africa, with BMW having 107, private and smaller networks having 90 charging stations, and Grid Cars having 82. Additionally, along the electric vehicle manufacturing train, there are additional opportunities. With electric vehicles, there are opportunities in basic materials, parts and components, manufacturing and tooling, retail, and independent aftermarket. There are also opportunities with the charging infrastructure, parts and components, manufacturing and assembly, retail and billing, and operations and maintenance as well. And with the lithium-ion batteries, there's raw materials, processing, battery pack inputs, and retail. That's the end of my presentation. So I'd just like to thank you. I'd like to leave the slide on the market intelligence reports up, just if there are any downloads. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kieran, and thank you so much to Elise for that refreshing presentation. We have to move on to the next speakers, which is Kwaita and Kieran, and we see that Ntutuko is unable to join us due to technical glitches. We'll carry on and see if later on we can still slot him in. So we have heard about the green sectors, opportunities in the green economy. So what about the organizations that support the green entrepreneurs with funding, product development, incubation, market intelligence, or access to markets? My next guest, Kwaita Watwalo, has put together an interesting list of organizations and programs focused on assisting green SMMEs. Kieran will also come back and will be presenting on two specific initiatives, the Green Pitch Challenge taking place as we speak, and Climate Finance Accelerator. So I introduced Kieran to you earlier and you heard him speak. Now I'd like to welcome Kwaita Watwalo. Kwaita is the Managing Director and founder of the Hatchery Incubator, the first global cleantech incubator. She has extensive experience working in the communications and incubator space for over 15 years. She holds a master's in public administration, and she's currently busy with a PhD in technology and innovation. Over to you, Kwaita. Take this.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. I'm just trying to locate my presentation. Oh, goodness. Okay. And then I can share my screen as quickly as possible with you. It don't allow me to share for some reason. Carla, is there any way possible that someone can share my presentation?
Hi, Tatenda or Daniel, could you please assist? Thank you.
Please, guys. Yeah, I can't seem to share it.
Hello, I'm sharing it now.
Awesome, thank you. But in the meantime, thank you so much to CD, Billy, Carla, colleagues for setting up this opportunity, whereas we can share with startup businesses and SMMEs and all attendees on opportunities in the green space. But just to give you a bit of background, my name is Kwaita Watwalo, and I'm the managing director of the Hatchery. The Hatchery is the first global clean tech incubator. We've got we're founded in Norway, and I've got the privilege of heading up South Africa and Africa, based out of Cape Town. So I'll give you a bit of background, just the moment that I can see my slide. Awesome, thank you so much. If you can just take it to the next slide, please. Perfect. Thank you so much. So the green economy can definitely be a great driver to create opportunities, specifically for startups to set up businesses, for ecosystems to support these businesses to grow, so that they can also create employment opportunities. And all of this should be happening while these businesses are having a great and positive impact on Mother Earth. The opportunities within the green space and clean space are incredibly vast. And, my speakers before have spoken about, electric vehicles, When we talk about transportation, there's also agriculture, there's energy, waste management, and that's just to name a few. Therefore, it's incredible to have all of these startups and SMMEs in this webinar today that are building businesses that will have a lasting impact while creating a thriving African economy. What's inevitable is the fact that we will transition from coal to renewable energies. Therefore, it will be quite important to ensure that, what is expected is that there will be job losses. So as these job losses are expected, it's important to prepare prior to that to set up an industry whereby the employees are then transitioned to renewable energies. And investment in this space will mean that there is then local manufacturing, which should then lead to sustainable job creation to take place. So at the hatchery, we are playing our part in supporting SMMEs that are building clean and green technology-based businesses. As I said, we are the first global clean tech incubator. And our aim in South Africa and in Africa is to ensure that we can fund and support businesses that can fit into our current ecosystem, that are keen to reach global reach, that are keen to be mentored from industry experts also outside of South Africa, even though they are based in South Africa. So it's all about global reach for us. And if we can find those startups that are open to that, we're absolutely keen to work with them. And I think what's a bit niche with the hatchery as an incubator is the fact that we've got a wellness program. So we back you as the startup, but we also want to ensure that you are, spiritually, mentally, holistically, you are in a great mindset and space to be able to grow and build your business. If you can just take it to the next slide, please. I did a bit of a compilation, and this is, just a bit of the opportunities that are available in the space. I'll share an extended list with Carla, and, should any of the attendees or participants today wish to get that list, they'll be able to see that list. First and foremost, we've got Amazon Web Services. So at Amazon, they've created a 2-week immersive experience that's dedicated to boosting underrepresented founders. So they give you a funding, you receive a grant from the Schultz Family Foundation to cover housing, travel and those sort of expenses. So if you are keen on that, I've got the link there, and the application deadline is in just 2 days. So you need to hurry up and, read up and find out more about that if you are keen. And then we've got Sasol Ventures. Sasol Ventures has built a funding vehicle for businesses that are building, clean tech and green tech solutions that can fit into their pipeline and into their current operations. So I've got details there as well for them. And then the third one is Rand Merchant Bank. Rand Merchant Bank teamed up with another bank based in Germany to set up the first fund. And the first fund is finance. It's long-term finance for SMMEs that are building up and wanting to scale energy projects that should reduce carbon intensity. The fourth one is the Green Support Program. So the Green Support Program is an opportunity to provide relief to SMMEs that are affected by power interruptions. We all know we're plagued by not COVID, by what do you call it? Power going on and off during the week and during the day. So what they do is that they will supplement a portion of your energy needs and renewable and efficient energy with energy technologies. Load shedding, that's what I was looking for. So if you need support because your business you're failing to keep production and manufacturing happening, you can apply for that fund, for that program. The Climate Launchpad 2023, this is now one of the largest green business competitions. And it allows for SMMEs to apply for this competition, pitch, and, you know, see if they can win the big prize by having the most innovative solution in that room. Could I please get my final slide? And the sixth one is Intex. So Intex focuses on clothing, textiles, footwear, leather. So this is all about the circular economy, where the product is created, but also the end of life is considered in the development of that product. So if you're in the textile space, you know, reach out to them, and they can definitely assist you with, you know, business strategy and business support in your textile business. And then number 7 is WomHub. So WomHub is for females, specifically for women in STEM. So they have a program called the Circular Economy Incubator. So whichever field you're in, and you're female, you can definitely apply to the WomHub program. And second before last is a Business Partners Energy, the Energy Fund. So the Energy Fund from Business Partners starts from 250,000 to 2 million for businesses that have a viable business plan, who want to buy, you know, solar systems, battery systems, generators, inverters, in order to continue manufacturing in your business to ensure that you have less downtime. And then final one is the Grow E-Youth Scheme. This one is done by the IDC. So they fund startup businesses with the goal of encouraging youth entrepreneurship and building and creating jobs. There should be one more slide with another, with one final, the 10th one, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, if you can't find it, the 10th one is it's by CIFA. So this is the fund of funds that they call it. So they work with third-party intermediaries who then disperse these funds to businesses on their behalf. And it also allows you to, you know, to grow your startup or your technology-based business. And I will share that again as well with the contact details for the specific funding at CIFA. Awesome, that's it for me. Thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you so much. You caught me off guard there. I think without wasting any further time, thank you so much for that vital information on the sources of both financial and non-financial support for green entrepreneurs. Definitely will come in handy for our cohort of entrepreneurs that are here today. And without wasting any further time, I am going to hand over to Kieran, who is also going to talk about the support of entrepreneurs in the green economy. Thank you. Over to you, Kieran.
Can everyone see my screen again? Yes.
Yes, it's clear, Kieran.
Thank you. So Green Cape, through its Green Finance Desk, seeks to support entrepreneurs by facilitating access to financing of green projects and businesses. While we're not particularly involved in financing businesses, we do seek to aid that facilitation of the pipeline with the actual financiers. One of the things that we've noticed in this space is that financiers are saying that there isn't a pipeline of projects, while projects are saying that they can't access financing. So the Green Finance Desk works to facilitate these relationships. We work across all sector desks in Green Cape with the objectives of developing a network of financial institutions with interest in the green economy, working on understanding the requirements of businesses and projects within the green economy, looking at removing the barriers to finance and implementing innovative financing solutions, and also providing ad hoc support programs to facilitate pipeline creation in the green economy. So these green finance support programs include the Green Pitch Challenge, the Climate Finance Accelerator, and the Green Outcomes Fund. Additionally, the Green Finance Desk published a green finance database to outline the sources of funding in the green economy. So just to highlight on the Green Pitch Challenge. The Green Pitch Challenge is a partnership with the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom, which invites innovators and entrepreneurs with economically viable green economy solutions to pitch their ideas. The 2023 Green Pitch Challenge call for entries closed last week on the 8th of June with a whopping 207 applicants. The prizes include a 100,000 Rand cash prize and other in-kind business support sponsored by RMB Ventures, Google Startups for Sustainable Development, Launch Lab, and Cerebi. This challenge focuses on early stage startups which have a proof of concept or a pilot project running, looking for first round seed funding, as well as pre-growth projects which are registered and trading with sales looking for Series A funding. The Green Pitch Challenge seeks to provide access to an ecosystem of green economy supports and allow for the networking with investors, businesses, and government decision makers. The selected projects get to pitch their ideas to an esteemed panel of judges in hopes of winning each of the prizes. This slide just highlights the top 10 innovations of 2022. In the pre-venture stage, we had Flex EV, which is in electric mobility, Marshnet Mycelium, which is a plastics alternative, Me2U, which is a circular economy project, Waste Water Treatment Technology, which is a water project, and Manhole Protector Grid, MPG, which is a sewer and stormwater networks resilience. In the pre-growth cohorts, we had Nat UV Care, which is a bioeconomy and circular economy project, Plentify, which is an energy project, Aquaponics Franchise, which is an energy and agriculture project, Preventing Leaks, Smart Polymer Manhole Covers, which is a water and service delivery project. Also Mobile Crushers, which is a circular project. So with the 2023 Green Pitch Challenge, which closed earlier, we had 207 applicants, just to repeat again, and some key event dates around this project were that the finalists will be announced on the 30th of June 2023. We'll have a pitch prep workshop with RMB on the 20th of July here in Cape Town at FNB Portside, with the pitching events a week later on the 27th of July 2023. We're still deciding on the venue. So that's the Green Pitch Challenge. Additionally, at more established businesses, we have a climate finance accelerator. So the climate finance accelerator is part of the UK government's investment into the South African transition to a low carbon economy. We undertake this project with our local partners, which include the National Business Initiative and Green Cape, and it's currently overseen by PwC UK. So what we seek in this program is to ensure that projects are in the best position to attract investment from financiers by providing them capacity building on topics such as blended finance, financial modeling, pitching, gender, equity, and social inclusion. The 2022 call for entries had 166 applicants over the green economy sectors in renewable energy, agriculture, water, circular economy, and electric vehicles. After technical reviews, we shortened to a final cohort of 15 projects who received capacity building, mentoring, networking opportunities with investors and financial institutions at an in-person events. So this is just some of the aims of the CFA program on this slide: to improve their bankability, improve their networks, increase their visibility, and provide access to investors, and help them achieve their low carbon objectives. So some of the outputs from the capacity building sessions include allowing these projects or enabling them to produce pitch decks, project digests, one-slide summaries, a GESI action plan, and any other supporting documents. So these are just some of the achievements to date in South Africa that we've achieved with the CFA program. And these are some of the CFA companies. This include Liquid Gold, WeStore, Green Riders, NutriHumus, Mustafa Energy, Alien Fuel Group, Samanjalo, CH4, BSF Breathing, Sherpa Utility, Home Energy, Everelectric, and the CSIR. Just to highlight some additional opportunities at Green Cape, I'm just outlining the Green Outcomes Fund. The Green Outcomes Fund was developed in South Africa to incentivize investment into local SMMEs that can generate green outcomes whilst creating jobs in the energy, water, waste, infrastructure, and land management sectors. This is through a partnership with National Treasury's Job Fund, Green Income, and Green Cape, which seeks to provide outcomes-based match funding to catalytic finance partners that provides investment support to local SMMEs contributing towards job creation in South Africa's green economy. Listed below are some of the partners, which include the Jobs Fund, RMB, WWF, Bert Sensor, and Green Cape. So the purpose of the Green Outcomes Fund is to get clearly defined green outcomes in the water, waste, energy, and agricultural sectors, higher quality and consistent reporting of green impacts, increase job creation, incentivize investment into green SMMEs by local fund managers, and enabling catalytic finance partners to provide support services in ways that were not previously possible by developing and adopting their SMME investment criteria. Some of the key catalytic finance partners in the Green Outcomes Fund include Edge Growth, Mergent Investment Managers, IDF Capital, and Conservation International. And this slide just highlights some of the SMMEs that have partnered up with the CFPs, which include Waste Want, Alice Group, Ikagi, and Drive Compost in the waste and circular economy sectors, Sensor Network, LED Lighting, Gap Giza, iGen, and Lula Loop, which are in the energy and energy efficiency sectors, Meat Naturally, which is a sustainable agriculture projects, Nambu and BSF Breeding, which produce black soldier flies, and Kusini Water, which is a portable water treatment solution. Additional support to entrepreneurs in the green economy, the Green Finance Desk published the Green Finance Database. This provides a breakdown of available climate finance sources that can be used in the green economy, companies and projects in South Africa. It highlights relevant sources of finance, mostly governments, DFIs, commercial banks, and other sources. It also sorts by sectors, namely renewable energy, water, conservation, supply and demand, circular economy, amongst others. And it highlights investment instruments such as grants, concessional debts, equity, and other sources. There is a QR code here as well for you to access the Green Finance Database. We look forward to having applicants from this panel or online participants to join further iterations of the Green Pitch Challenge. Later this year, we'll also be launching an Mpumalanga-focused Green Pitch Challenge, and another iteration of the Climate Finance Accelerator will be launching soon. So we're hoping SMMEs on this panel are inspired to apply to these initiatives, or even apply or reach out to Green Cape to get in touch with the catalytic finance partners on the GOV program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kyun, for that interesting presentation. And I think it's good that we see examples of companies that have been able to access the types of funds that are available out there. Sadly, the Green Pitch Challenge is closed for this year. Please be on the lookout for the one that's coming next year. Ladies and gentlemen, after the next couple of speakers, we'll be opening up our Q&A. Please do type your questions on the Q&A, and we will then pose them to the relevant panelists. But also, we would also like to draw your attention to our feedback survey. We need to gauge the importance or the impact of these sessions. So we have a survey that will not take you more than 2 minutes. We will post the link on the chat. Please, 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 before you finish or you log off this session today, kindly go on to that survey, and please give us feedback on these webinars. Okay, so the European Union and its member states invest substantially to support policy reforms on green recovery. They unlock green investments and build a knowledge-based transition in the framework of the just and green recovery. To talk about why SMMEs take a central role and how that is made possible, as well as of shared experiences with South Africa, we have Ariane Labat from the European Union office in South Africa. Ariane is currently a counselor for climate action Environment and Agriculture in EU delegation to South Africa. After 4 years as head of cooperation for the EU delegation to the Kingdom of Eswatini, previously Ariane was cluster lead mitigation for the EU International Negotiation Team at the UNFCCC, working towards successful global climate action from Cancun to the Paris Agreement. She had further previous assignments as an economist working to unlock sustainable and inclusive growth opportunities in Europe, Latin America, and China. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hand over to Ms. Ariane Labat, who's going to talk to us about how to think SME first in a green economy, shared experiences in South Africa. Over to you, Ariane.
Okay, thank you very much to involve me in this very exciting panel today, and very happy to see you all and seeing all the questions already on the chat. So as chatted with my colleague Mariam, who leads this program, we wanted to give you a little bit an experience from the European Union, from Team Europe. So meaning Team Europe, it's the European Union. It's together our 27 European member states in Europe. It's also together with our European companies. Over 1,000 European companies are based here in South Africa, investing, developing skills, and developing a commercial relationship with some of you. So we really wanted to really be in a dialogue. You know, what's our experience in Europe with growing an inclusive and sustainable economy, and how we can, you know, trade a little bit these secrets of on-the-ground experience. So first principle we have in Europe is think SME first in absolutely all regulations, all review of all legislation that we are doing, and in putting forward new administrative processes or putting in place some funding. Why? It's because SMEs are the engine of growth creation in Europe and the engine of innovation. This is where the magic happens, where you create new sectors of the economy, you bring innovation, and you create jobs for the long term. So it's a very fundamental principle that our regulation looks how you can simplify obligation or any kind of administrative documents that you need to submit. We need to think SME first, because otherwise we harm ourselves. And how does this translate into the green economy space? So as Europe, our citizens have decided that we must move to a green economy for our own survival. We know how much the climate threats, the threats on nature are actually endangering the very basis of our economy and our societies. So we transfer that into law. We have our entire economic area is now geared by law to go to a net zero emission by 2050, and with a gradual evolution towards that. Plus, we have also committed to move to a circular economy, whereby the resources that are circulating in our different value chains are reused multiple times or are finding different ways of being used by different industry and different players. So this is a fundamental rethink of absolutely all our sectors of the economy. And I insist again, it's driven by the demand. It's citizens, it's consumers, it's municipalities, it's other businesses require from each other to think about the environmental impact over the short, medium, and long term. So it's a very fundamental drive. And the policy framework, if you like, accompanies this social choice and make sure that companies can thrive in that environment and have access to innovation, have access to finance, have ways to be transparent about their green claims, you know, because consumers, they don't want to buy a premium for a good, for instance, that is not authentically green. So we have regulated that as well. what does it mean for our partnership with South Africa? So as Team Europe, again, I insist it's Team Europe. It's not just the EU as a whole, it's also our individual member states. We have said, let's partner with South Africa to realize this vision of a sustainable and inclusive growth in South Africa through all our dimension of our partnership with South Africa. That means our respective embassies, our respective business organizations, our learning institution, our universities, etc., and our cities also are partnering with their peers in South Africa to grow a green economy and green shoots. Let me be clear, that doesn't mean just grants or special funding. It's also a lot about sharing approaches, sharing the regulation that works. It's about sharing innovative experience. For instance, I'm going to give you a very specific example. The circular economy, it's creating new business model in Europe. It's SMEs that are reinventing the way to put on the market certain goods and products for food, for construction, for service to other businesses, etc. So we had super interesting exchange of experience with your businesses, your SMEs in South Africa that are also in that space and that are bringing to the market, to consumers, new solution to look at sharing goods instead of buying them, using digital application to manage different resources or to reach consumers, etc., etc. So we are really here not just to dole out some funding, we are really here also to find innovative ways to make these companies better known to consumer in South Africa and to consumer in Europe. So that's the last dimension I want to mention. We are #1 trade and investment partner of South Africa, the European Union as a whole. This is a very important relationship for us. We have enshrined it in a formal economic partnership agreement with South Africa and SADC neighbors. And it's an agreement that is oriented to sustainable development. And how does it work in practice? You know, trade happens in specific value chain. Trade happens in multiple products, in medicinal products, in advanced goods, in automotive industry, in agriculture, etc., across different sectors. And value chain by value chain, we are working as European Union with SMEs, with business organizations from South Africa, with your trade promotion agency from each of the different provinces to see how you can do more business with us, how you can tap into European consumers' demand for your products. And again, they're going to look at your green credential when you do that. There is, for instance, a great appetite for your rooibos products because European consumers recognize the knowledge that there is, the quality of the product, the linkages with your natural environment in South Africa. That works. It is growing sales in Europe, but also in China, who also recognize the value of, if you like, the European label on that. So altogether, you have a huge market ahead of you. So what's absolutely important is you get your SME business thriving. The green economy is no different from the normal economy in that you must have solid accounting system. You must have digital skills in your company. You need to have people skills in your company. The more you grow that, the better you're going to be able to tap into this growing demand for a green economy and green products. I'm going to stop here and look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ariane, for that insightful conversation. I would like at this point to give a virtual standing ovation to the EU for the amazing work in the green economy space, and especially for the efforts towards these mid events. We have seen the good work from all the endeavors in various sectors, trade and industry, and we definitely are very much grateful for the funding and all the efforts towards making us a better country. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier on, would just like to remind you that the link to the survey is now on the chat. Please do assist us with, going through that survey. And the Q&A is also open. We've already seen a couple of questions trickling in. Please keep those coming in, because after this segment, we will be taking Q&A. And the next segment is the most inspiring one, filled with generously shared insights and learnings from green entrepreneurs who are pioneering, highlighting innovative technologies. And first up, we have who is the founder and executive head of operations at Indalo Inclusive. Indalo Inclusive is an organization that has been at the forefront of supporting high-impact, environmentally friendly social innovation and entrepreneurs. Following rest, we will have Sibongile Sithole from MPLC, who started a business in the midst of COVID. Wow, that must have been interesting. And she will be sharing her learnings and her venture. And we have Mahrit Lipa, who is the co-founder of Leach Technologies, which is a clean tech energy storage systems company. And lastly, we have Andre Reinecker, a founder and managing director of Ducia, which is an interesting energy recovery development system. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now hand over to Rest to give us some insights. Thank you so much. Over to you, Rest.
Good morning, Billy. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I'm not necessarily an entrepreneur, and I take my head off to entrepreneurs that are really, at the coal face of the work that we do. And as an organization, we are very grateful again to this opportunity. And I'm just going to probably give a high level, introduction or an overview of the work that we do. And I'm excited to also share a couple of examples of the type of entrepreneurship that we support. I'm very happy that some of them actually have been highlighted by our previous speakers, and I'll possibly highlight and allude to that as we go. So yeah, my name is Rest Kanju, and I work for Indalo Inclusive South Africa. As I roll my screen, if it allows me to do so. Here we go. Yeah, so we are a not-for-profit company. We're based here in Pretoria, but recently opened up offices in the Eastern Cape, in Matatiele, where we have a partnership with Conservation South Africa. And we also recently are working with WWF in supporting both pro-nature and coastal, entrepreneurship and cooperatives in the Eastern Cape area. But also we have an office in the Greater Kruger landscape, where we work with a group of lodges in the Greater Kruger area, as well as the Water Research Commission in supporting green and waterpreneurs in that area of the western bound of the Kruger National Park. But our main work that we do really revolves around supporting what we call eco-inclusive entrepreneurship. And it's a kind of entrepreneurship where we believe that have a net positive impact on the environment as well as society without while they're generating revenue, generating profits. In over the years of our existence, which is almost about 6 years now, we've grown to be an organization that really builds what I would call a pipeline from a stage where a lot of us are not actually able to work in that area that is pretty much quite risky for a number of organizations or a number of investors or partners. So we work with early stage entrepreneurs. We work with them at a point of ideation where they're developing ideas and developing concepts. And we've been grateful and very lucky to be supported by a number of organizations over the past few years, and of course the EU included. And we currently have enjoyed quite a bit of support from a number of partners across the South African ecosystem and landscape. One of those is of course, the Nedbank, who are a very big partner of ours. And recently we've just closed a project with the Government of Flanders. And I heard Kwayeta talk about the Climate Launchpad. You'll be pleased to know that Indalo Inclusive, together with Water Financials and Behold, hosts the Climate Launchpad in South Africa. So the competition that you saw, we actually host it, and we work with a number of UN agencies in the country. So if you look at the screen that I'm sharing with you, There's a number of projects that we've actually been working on, a number of thematic areas that we work on that really build a cohort of enterprises that graduate to be absorbed by a number of organizations that are presented here. And some of them go on to receive a lot of funding from investors and the likes. And we work on a very simple model that looks, like I said, from ideation. We've created some names around this that really speak to the brand of Indalo or the brand of Indalopreneurship, as we normally want to refer to it, where we look at, obviously, ideation stage. We look at innovation, prototype validation, and a stage of enterprises. We look at the growth phase, and we then look at acceleration. I think we have quite a strong leaning and inclination towards the issue and the notion of inclusivity. So, Elise and the previous speakers have spoken about the imperatives of green entrepreneurship, why we should be doing it, and Ariane just spoke about, again, the role of SMEs around issues of the transition, the green economy, the demand for goods and services within this space. We also like to infuse issues of inclusion or inclusivity around entrepreneurship. So what that means is that we talk quite a bit about the base of the pyramid, people that really we believe that should be part of the value chains of any entrepreneurial development or innovation that we find ourselves in. And in that regard, we talk about, of course, economic inclusion, participation of the marginalized within those value chains. We look at social inclusion, how best do we build, social infrastructure within, neglected communities. I must also mention that we find ourselves working possibly in areas where a lot of others don't venture to go into. So we work in far-flung rural areas of South Africa, hence my mentioning of the spaces where we've recently opened up offices and set up footprint in the Eastern Cape, and the Greater Kruger area, where a lot of these institutions actually, hardly go to. So we bury that cross. We talk also in terms of inclusivity about environmental inclusion. What that means for us is valuing this kind of platforms that we have right now, especially today, created by SIDA, that looks at how best do we bring in the issue and the messages of green economy to an otherwise broad, platform and topic of entrepreneurship. We would always want to ensure that people, maybe as a last point, are able to look at nature as an asset and take ownership of that thereof. We do also believe, by the way, that while the marginalized, South Africans or Africans have to respond or are actually dealing with issues of climate change, there's also a great opportunity for innovation around inclusion of these marginalized communities into greater value chains and into economic value chains across different sectors. So while we see it as challenges, we also see opportunities. And I'll give an example of some of those opportunities that exist that have been created or curated by a number of social or green entrepreneurs that we support as an organization. And I'll skip this slide because I think it just continues to emphasize the fact that what we call the base of the pyramid actually provide an economic, imperative, economic opportunity for entrepreneurs to start innovating. I mean, the bulk of population sits within that space where people actually earn, less than $1 a day or survive with less than $1 a day across the globe. So there's an opportunity for more volume creation and more reaching out to more marginalized people around that space. So as a country and as entrepreneurs, how best do we respond? There is a greater need, I believe, that of creation or innovating within the adaptation and mitigation space, right? I think Elise looked at a number of opportunities around that particular space in different sectors. Quinn around, with Green Cape looked at opportunities that are beginning to be seen within that space. Some of these we may think that are a little bit unreachable because we're not actually there yet. Some of them are quite expensive for us to get into. And that's why the second point for me becomes quite important, because as we transition to the low carbon economy, it's critical that we do ensure that there is inclusion and the justice sector is not ignored. we need to make sure that our communities, our people are not left behind. And in fact, inclusion and issues of justice are embedded, into these spaces, and that becomes quite critical. And allow me, in the interest of time, to give you an example or some examples of areas where we are currently working. We're grateful to the support of the EU way back in 2019 or even earlier than that, around exploring opportunities for supporting just energy transition entrepreneurship in South Africa. We're probably one of the early entrants to really look at some of these opportunities within that space. This program has now grown. We currently working in Mpumalanga with both the French embassy as well as the Royal Netherlands Embassy to look at that area of Kharsebande, looking at opportunities for co-innovation and co-creation of opportunities within the just transition space, because we believe that it's quite critical that as we transition, inclusion of communities, it's imperative. And we work in different sectors, renewable energy, transportation. I think these have been mentioned already. And as I move on, we've learned quite a bit from a number of enterprises that are there. These are also available on our social media pages and our website, and people can also write to me, and I can share some of these examples. Very exciting examples, and just to mention one or two of them, we have a lady, for example, in Pretoria that does rooftop farming, through an aquaponic system. We have an agroecology center in the Amalahleni area, that looks at upskilling and reskilling people who otherwise have been retrenched within the mining space, within that community or the coal mining value chains. And we have off-the-grid agricultural farms in Limpopo, and we have biogas and biodigesters that are actually being utilized as and enabling technologies for agriculture and farming in areas where there's otherwise no energy rich, or in the midst of load shedding and the likes. So yeah, these are just one example. I'm also excited to talk about Kusini, and I know that Green Cape actually mentioned them. So if you see some of these enterprises being mentioned by others, you must also know that they actually possibly went through our system. So
1 minute rest.
1 minute in the early stages. So Kusini provides technologies that provide waters and the likes. Meat Naturally has been mentioned, a rangeland management program. But let me just quickly skip and go to this last slide, because I'll be killed if I don't talk about this. The question was that was posed to me is, what are some of the challenges and solutions, in as far as green inclusivity is concerned in this space? One, I think we need patient funding and financial support for entrepreneurs. Yes, a combination of grant, and I think we need to move quite swiftly into areas of concessionary loans at an early stage, so that these entrepreneurs begin to understand how to operate within that space. Secondly, we do believe that there needs to be a deliberate creation of opportunities for partnerships and government support. This must be made easy for entrepreneurs to really access. And maybe the last point is exposure to successful models. So we talk about these things. Do they reach, and can people create based on models that are really successful, that have been implemented within this space? So the concept of replication and adaptation of technologies become quite critical. We believe that people can only innovate to the levels of their exposure. And maybe lastly, approaches to entrepreneurial development, we believe that they need to be developmental. The need out there is big. In the areas where we work, you really need to almost educate people. So the kind of qualities and that Ariane talks about, financial competencies and those kind of skills, a lot of our people don't have this. How do we make sure that the entrepreneurial development is a developmental in approach and is educational? I think let me just stop there. I won't even bother sharing this video that I had. And thank you. Sorry about that, Billy.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much, Rest, and especially for that very last slide, where you talk about propellers, for early stage entrepreneurs, especially the issue around mixed funding, concessionary loans and grants. And I think this is a perfect platform to be bringing up some of those challenges that we practitioners within the space encounter. Thank you so much, Rest. Colleagues, without wasting time, I'll hand over to Sibongile Sithole from MPLC for her inspirational story. Over to you, Sibongile.
Good morning, everyone. I would like for you guys to share my slide on your side. I can't share.
Daniel and Tatenda, could you please assist? Thank you.
Sharing it now, Spongile.
I can't see them yet.
Spongile, you can go ahead and just start introducing the presentation while it's coming up. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Well, my name is Sibongile Sithole. I'm the founder of MLPC project. I'm a qualified electrical engineer by profession with more than 8 years experience in the engineering industry. So MLPC project is a company that was founded in 2020 after I got retrenched due to COVID-19. You can just go to the second slide, please. Thank you. So our mission as MLPC projects is to enable the green energy economy and help drive transformation in Africa. Our services are electrical installation, maintenance, plumbing, solar system installation. So our solar system installation has a smart sensor that enables the remote control of the geyser, light, solar, and pumps, and it also monitors the energy consumption through an app on the mobile phone. You can go to the next slide, please. Our current customers are B2B customers, of which are banks and insurance companies. Next slide, please. I had an opportunity to be the part of YBT, Green Economy Academy. That's where the green business idea started. From there, I didn't look back. I have identified the opportunity in the green energy sector. As we all know that everyone is looking for an alternative energy source, and the need of this alternative energy source has been increased for more in last years. We all looking for solutions to power our houses and our offices with the power that is not disturbance. Also, due to climate change, we see more growth in the energy sector. Next slide, please. We got an opportunity to pitch on climate launch that was hosted by Indalo. This is one of the supports we got. I was the part of top 3 that went to pitch with the other green business entrepreneurs from other countries. We got so much support during our pitching competition. That's where I learned more about my business, and that's where I learned more how to pitch on the competition. I also got so much support through the mentorship and networking. We've got an opportunity to exhibit our services as well on Indalo Symposium this year. Next slide, please. As small business, there are challenges that we faced. First of all, it's financial support, or we can say working capital. As small businesses, we struggle to keep working capital. Sometimes when you apply for funding, you find out that the requirements will be looking at your company turnover, of which some of small businesses are not there, or they haven't reached a certain turnover. That's the first challenges that small businesses do face, and also the market access. Also, I want to share the lessons that I've learned through this journey. I've learned to focus on my trade, to be more knowledgeable on my trade. I'll also like to advise other entrepreneurs to do networking, to engage with others, and also to establish themselves to become reputable and trusted entrepreneurs. And also, it's very important to become the best at what you are doing. Next slide, please. This is our team. This is our dream team that make things happen. Our dream is to increase and to operate in all South African provinces. Next slide, please. On the last slide, if you want to be in touch with us, get more services, and if you want to support our business to go in more places, that's our email address and our contact number. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Sibongile, and thanks for proving that what REST was presenting on really is happening. Thank you so much, Sibongile, for that story, and really hope, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see the contact details of the company on the screen. If you have any questions or further inputs or how you can assist them move forward, please do contact them. Thank you so much. I'm now going to hand over to Margriet Lipa from Leach, who is a co-founder of Leach, and to give us their story on what they're doing at Leach. Thank you so much. Over to you, Margriet.
Hello. Hello, everyone. This is Warwick as well. We're both the founders of LIGE. We started this company in 2012 with a dream to create a storage system for our house. That was the dream then. We've since discovered through years of development and tears, in other words, that for households, our system would not work. It's far too big, far too costly. So through lots of research, we decided our market is larger energy users, which is smallholder farmers all the way up to industrial. The Innovation Hub has been a great help to us as LIGE. We became incubators there in 2014 with Ntutuko, incidentally, as our account manager, and one of your speakers, Elise, as one of our mentors. So my advice to many entrepreneurs, or actually all entrepreneurs, get into an incubation program early, very early, because they offer quite a lot to any entrepreneur in growing your business. Another aspect that's quite important as well is funding, as one of the speakers mentioned. And thank you to all these speakers, very informative. Funding is extremely important, specifically grant funding in most of our instances. Very, very important to grow your business. I'm going to hand you over to Warwick now, who is the inventor of our energy storage, which would help this environment of ours so much. Here's our presentation.
Hello, everybody. I'm sort of trying to share my screen and we'll see what go from there. Right.
Just excuse the dogs in the background, please. This is home office.
There you go. Can everybody see my screen? I just need confirmation.
Not yet, Warwick. Can the technical team please assist?
Hi, Warwick. You should be able to share your screen. Are you having a challenge with sharing the screen?
I am actually. I'm going to try it now and see what happens. Can you see that one?
Yes, we can. Excellent. Okay. Thanks very much.
Let's hold it there. Okay, so let me just go back to my first screen then. Up we go. There we go. So,
yeah, Warwick, can you go into presentation mode, please?
Presentation mode.
I'll try and see what happens. Go. Have we still got the same screen?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, excellent. Leap for Innovate Green Energies, or LRGE, has been going now for some time, incubated at the Innovation Hub. We began there. Lots of good information came out of that, lots of teaching, and we really did enjoy being part of the Innovation Hub growth phase. Compressed energy storage is a very difficult concept for most people to get their head around. How on earth can you store energy in compressed air and then get the power back out again? That's always been the difficult phase for most people to understand, that there is, in fact, this is a much better way of storing energy over and above the conventional battery type of system. Yes, it has its drawbacks, and yes, it has its place. Bit tricky putting in a motor car, but as a fixed standing battery system, this is way better. We've come across the word air battery a lot, and we've been referred to as air batteries, so we now call ourselves the air battery for very obvious reasons. We've trademarked the air battery. It's part of our registered mark. And the nice part about this particular system is the fact that we take normal air, breathable air, we compress it, we take the energy from electrical source, and we obviously compress the air. In doing so, we also generate heat. And it's the generation of heat and the separation of the water that sets us aside from most other systems, particularly energy storage. The important part is that there is a certain niche market that this fits into very nicely, and that is your large, medium and large industrial type environments, your mines, your hospitals, your very big farms, etc. Those sort of places where energy storage becomes very, very important for long-term use, and more particularly if you're using renewable sources of energy. Apart from that, it also has your peak shaving and load leveling capability, and it reduces the losses on long transmission lines. So the benefit of having some form of energy storage is very vast. Now think about South Africa, and more specifically our lovely load shedding problems that we often have here. This offsets the problem of load shedding very nicely, thank you. Based on the fact that if you compare it to normal batteries, let's say lithium cells, your lifespan of those devices are quite small, in fact. We're looking at a 20-year to 30-year lifespan on our energy storage system, let alone the vessels in which we put it into. And the vessels obviously meet industrial requirements. So it's a fairly large system, that's for sure. But cost for cost compared to batteries and what it does are very, very competitive. In fact, the ROI in most cases is between 3 and 5 years for what we do. The whole idea is that we need to take South Africa from the mindset of not having power to having the cost-effective power sources available with a decent lifespan, coupled with the fact that we are running headlong into a water crisis fairly soon. And the one thing that this machine does is it separates water out of the environment, out of the air, and makes it available. And it's very clean water. In fact, in some cases, it's too clean. You have to add minerals to it to make it work. This is the benefit of this type of system, plus the longevity, plus the very low maintenance costs that this system has, benefiting, I think, everybody. We are very aware of a little scenario, a problem of a thing called energy poverty in Africa and Southern Africa, and now beginning to spread quite basically across the world. And that, coupled with the fact that water is a major problem, this machine, I think, has an extremely big market availability for it. So this is where we're sitting right about now in the way of funding requirements, the types of machinery we're building, and the potential earnings for this particular type of machine is well into the $500 million sorry, R500 million potential earnings over the next 3 or 4 years. We do have a license agreement in Australia, and we have purchase agreements. In fact, there's invoices out for the Australian jobs right now, plus the fact that there's a lot of interest from other places like Brazil. And in South Africa, the Orange River farmers, Cape Province areas are all looking for renewable energy storage systems. And this is where we think we have a great potential to both expand in South Africa and into the rest of this African continent, as well as into North and South America and a few other places, Australia included. I think the biggest drawback has always been the funding. To be able to develop any sort of mechanical machinery, you need to iterate and you need to build. It's fine to do simulations, but you cannot simulate a mechanical device properly. You have to build it, you have to test it, it has to meet very rigorous standard requirements. All this is costly. At the end of the day, is what you have is a very strong workable unit, very strong workable possibilities for licensing agreements, etc. This is where the difference is between, I suppose, this and maybe building a program. It's very costly to put a mechanical device together. And so it would be nice to have more access to an ecosystem where money is more readily available for the mechanical side of devices. So here we have a few photographs of where we've come from, what we've built, the devices and the energies, the water removal, the heat storage, which is the silver box.
1 minute.
Right side. And so far, we've built 4 prototypes, and we are building now the 4th one, which is now going into Australia. And basically, thank you very much to the Innovation Hub for the incubation. Challenges: keep your head down, keep working. There's no way. If you carry on and push the envelope, you will get somewhere. But you've got to dig your teeth in. You've got to really you really got to do keeping your head down as such. As for the technology sizes, we could go right up to 50 megawatt hours at the present moment, from 50 kilowatt hours in energy forms and energy storage. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Margriet and Warwick. Ladies and gentlemen, I have had the pleasure of spending 3 years of my life tracking the journey of LIGE with Margriet and Warwick, and it's quite inspiring to see you grow from strength to strength. Thank you so much. And one such entrepreneur, ladies and gentlemen, is Andre Reinecker, who's the founder and managing director at Ducia. Without wasting any further time, Andre, I'll give you the platform. Thank you. Over to you.
Good day. Thank you, everybody. Let me just share this and make it big. It does not look like it wants to blow it. There we go, full screen. All right, thank you very much. Let me get right into it. I thought I'd just start with a 1 minute about the sectors that we play in and what we do. As you can see from this little schematic or this little picture, that it's mostly automation, and that's where we started out. I think just like Warwick and Margriet, where Norman Grant, my partner, started out with this, we said 1.2 billion cars on the road. Wow, that's a lot of money to be made. And we quickly realized that no such thing exists that happens easily. But anyway, this is where we are. We quickly realized the better business case was to go for heavy duty vehicles. And obviously we would like to grow further. And I'll mention that in a little bit, into larger transport and smaller vehicles. So quickly, what is our company about? We're basically a development company. We have quite a few patents in South Africa and across the world. The Miser technology is effectively a hybrid transmission. And to date, we've evolved from hydraulic into electric as well. We are busy developing a passenger vehicle, hybrid electric vehicle. And obviously the larger stuff continues as well. It saves fuel, it reduces emissions, and we've shown about 20% plus savings on heavy-duty vehicles doing long haul, so typically between here and Cape Town. We don't care what the basic energy source is. By that I mean hydrogen, diesel, petrol, etc. Miser will complement it, and you'll get the same efficiencies that I've just mentioned. Also, do not care about the size and the application of the vehicle. Generally, Miser will work for all of them. Our company at the moment are 10 permanent employees. We use quite a lot of external resources as well that we contract in. Most of those 10 are obviously engineers, and we are growing quite nicely into a niche type developer as well. We are busy at the moment under international contract developing a remote control unmanned vehicle. So that's quite exciting for us. That's a first in our life, and a whole bunch of other stuff with that. So, I mean, anybody that's gone on the entrepreneurial route will realize that you need to continue finding ways to earn income. And then obviously what we'd like to do is move on to the bigger stuff like the utility market, etc. So some key insights from our side. Yeah, South Africa is different. And it's a wonderful thing as well, but from business point of view as an entrepreneur, it's a particularly challenging thing. I've worked all over the world, and yeah, it's venture capitalists in South Africa are basically non-existent for startups. So you have to find other ways to start your business. It's always going to take longer than you think. Mostly people say 3 times longer. We thought it was going to be a 2 to 3 year thing, and we're in year 8 now in physical development, actually a bit longer than that. It's going to cost a whole lot more than what you planned for. I remember when Norman came to me, he said, Andre, I need 6 million rand to show you how this thing works. Now we have it working, and we're busy with secondary products and everything, but we are way over 100 million rand already. So yeah, be ready for that. And it's always more difficult than you can ever imagine. Being an entrepreneur, the impact you have on your family and your loved ones and just your immediate surroundings and other people that come into your life is pretty serious. So you need to be aware of that. Some of the obstacles we found, I mean, the people that spoken today are obviously well informed and know what they're talking about, because I know a lot of them, and we share many of these obstacles, and I can see a wonderful network out there trying to help us to move from incubation all the way through to successful commercialization. But funding is always an issue. How did we overcome that? We had some money of our own in the beginning, but as I said, that was not nowhere enough. So we had some angels, we had some grants, I'll get to that in a moment, that helped us a lot. And we had, about 3 years ago, we brought in one equity partner. The right partners are not always the ones you start with. I mean, you learn that the hard way, and you learn that through trial and error. But the bottom line is, if you plan well and you do your due diligences, etc., and the people that you can involve in your entrepreneurial route, it will save you a lot of money and time. So yeah, get the right partners from day one. Little example about using your resources. I mean, it's tough to find money in South Africa, and it's tough to know where to go. Elise, I love those 2 slides that you put up to show a bit of a schematic of who plays what role in South Africa. We had no idea. 90% of those we did not even know existed when we started. And you don't know. Do you go to the DTI? Do you go to TR? You know, if you're looking for some government assistance. But make sure that you understand that and use those resources. I mean, we spent millions on patents, and then we hooked up with Innovation Hub, and we understood there was such a wonderful opportunity there to use their skills and resources, and we never had the benefit of that. So we should have done our homework a bit sooner, I think. And of course, being a typical Afrikaner, you know, we all think we can do it all, and we can do it very quickly. Well, no, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So The big thing here is we had to sit back, replan, find people to work with us. Like we were very lucky to have a client from day one when we started testing. And you have to be realistic. I mean, if something cannot be done in 6 months, it cannot be done in 6 months. And then we had some great help along the way. Obviously, friends and family, excuse me, like in any entrepreneur's life. And then we did have grants from people like the DTI Innovation Hub and the Technology Innovation Agency. And we were very fortunate that our technology attracted some interest. And therefore, we had some outside investors when our money ran out. And we are very grateful for those guys. What would be my 3 top takeaways in our journey? Plan, and then plan some more. Without a doubt, you have to do your due diligence properly. You have to make sure that your market validation is done properly so that your product will have standing when you go in that direction. And yeah, and you have to prepare yourself for the work that has to be done. Do not rush it. I mean, we rushed it. We tried to do it too quickly. We probably wasted at least 3 years, and I'm not talking about COVID, and 3 years equates to a lot of money as well, which brings a lot of pressures if you have to go and find that and find the right partners. I mentioned collaboration earlier, key in moving forward, because none of us can do this alone. We always need some help from somewhere. And then my very favorite word, and probably the most important thing I think that an entrepreneur needs, which is exactly what Warwick said at the end of his presentation as well, is fuzzbait. So if you want to pull through as an entrepreneur, you're going to have some really tough times. And you need to hang in there if you want to pull it through. That is me. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me.
Thank you so much, Andre. I just want to share something that Elise just shared in the chat just now. She says, no man is an island. Collaboration in the green economy is key. Be embedded in the green economy ecosystem and make friends and create fans. I am a big fan of the entrepreneurs that have just presented right now, ladies and gentlemen. I have watched their journey and seen them grow from strength to strength. Thank you so much to Margriet and Andre. And definitely thank you so much to REST for all the assistance that they keep giving to the entrepreneurs in the green economy space. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm running out of time. I would definitely like to implore you to please grant us at least 7 more minutes so that we can go through some of the questions that have been posted on the chat before we hand over to the Director of Incubation in the Department of Small Business Development, Ms. Kifua Mohapelwa, who will be doing the wrap-up and the thanks for today. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting time, I have got about 3 questions, and I'm just going to ask my panelists to please jump in. I will read 3 at a time, and just jump in whichever one you feel you're able or best positioned to answer. But I think all of you or all of us should be able to answer here. So the first one is there a social enterprise fund in green economy? Right? That's the first one. And then Prudence says, she is the head of support services responsible for youth and women at the Steve Twitter municipality. And the question is, how does she introduce this latest phenomenon of green economy with an array of great opportunities that are desperately needed in addressing unemployment, economic transformation for youth and women? And the last one I have at the moment is, can a bakery get funding under the green economy funding? So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to hand over to the panel to please assist with answers to those 3 questions. First one is the social enterprise fund in green economy. Second one is how to introduce green economy and the opportunities that come with it to a municipality, especially targeted towards youth and women. And the last one is, can a bakery get funding under the green economy? Thank you.
Leah, I'm happy to jump. Oh, okay. Would you like, Grace? Would you like to go first? Grace seems very eager. Let Grace go first.
Okay.
Steve Twitter, I can respond to that quickly. So I mean, if anyone has my contacts, I'm happy to share my contact details. we've been embarking on a number of projects in Mpumalanga, Malahleni. So Steve Sweat is one of the municipalities. So we're happy to engage. I'll share my contact details. Sorry, Elise.
Thank you so much, Rest. I think, Elise, you can take the rest. Thank you.
Thanks, Rest. Yeah, definitely contact Rest. He's always there to help. I think my message is just for maybe the newcomers to the green industries, the entrepreneurs that's still really trying to get an idea, and that's early stage. It's important for you to connect to the right ecosystem player for support. Like we know now, Indalo Rest is more early stage. Youthbridge Trust also do ideation. Imbalisi is from Green Matter, also ideation. Get your idea crisp and clear, then you enter into a startup incubator, perhaps the innovation hub. And then for further commercialization and technology support, you need to talk to TIA, you can talk to Green Cape. So it's important for you to understand where in your growth path are you sitting and what support are needed within that, and then match it. So regarding to funding, you need to be a viable business, investment ready. So it's important for you to build the financial skills, a business plan, a proper budget, a proper understanding of what kind of funding you'll need, the return on investment that you're promising to your shareholders or investors. So if people get frustrated, it is often because they've not really given that area of the business so much attention. So make sure you're a bankable business. I'm sure CEDA can support you with the literacy, financial literacy. CIFA's got products on the financial side, but make sure you talk to the right person in the ecosystem. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you so much, Elise. Definitely do contact one of our branches closest to you for CEDA so that you can get any kind of non-financial support towards your business. I see Kieran is back on. I think, Kieran, do you want to take a question?
Yes, thanks, Billy. Just to add in on adopting and introducing green economy aspects into your business, if you do want to reach out to anyone from the Green Cape team, including myself, I do know you're going to, the team is going to share contact details. We'll be happy to share on the market intelligence reports. And then with specific focus on Mpumalanga, Green Cape does have a sister agency called the Mpumalanga Green Cluster Agency, and we are looking at developing SMMEs in the green economy in Mpumalanga. So it would be great to touch base and just share ideas and opportunities. Yes, thanks.
Thank you so much to my lovely panelists. I've got 2 more questions for you, colleagues, and we can then hand over to closing. So the first one is, are there any funds for NGOs in the green economy space? I think there's been a bit of covering some of that, but maybe whoever's going to take the next question can also cover this as well. The next question is from George, and he's asking, can drone spraying, crop monitoring, and precision farming get funding? We need to revolutionize the agricultural industry through the power of drones. Can I have any one of my lovely panelists take those 2 questions, please? Anyone? All right. Elise, thank you.
Not everybody always shies away from finance, but we've done a lot of research on the barriers to access to finance. But I think for now, the best database that you can tap into is Green Cape's Green Funding Database. They update it regularly. You have to mine it. You have to climb in there in the Excel sheet and really look at what funding is applicable to you. I also just want to mention that the Jobs Fund window are open. If people, there's been a lot of training this week on how to apply, what the eligibility criteria is, but quite a big focus towards green economy and green industries. But have a look at the Green Cape finance database. I'm happy to put it in the chat as well so that you have it by a click of hand. You can access it and really just make sure you read the eligibility criteria of these funders, because a lot of entrepreneurs spend so much time in applying and they've not really assessed, am I actually eligible for this type of funding? So make sure that you spend your energy on the right types of funding that's out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And maybe just to add on to the question around drone technology, we run an incubation program that has a lot of what we call, sorry colleagues, we have a lot of hubs and centers that specialize in ICT. So I will definitely drop an email on the chat that you can try and access where the nearest hub is, where you can get access to a lot of assistance around drone technology and the likes. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting any further time, I would like to call upon Mohapela from the Department of Small Business Development. Ms. Mkifuwa Mohapela is the Senior Manager Primary Sector in the branch Sector Research and Policy Development. Thank you so much. Over to you, ma'am. And maybe just before I hand over to Ms. Kifuwa, can I just please once again implore all of you attendees and ladies and gentlemen to please go on to the chat and please take our survey. Thank you. Ms. Kifuwa? Okay. All right, colleagues. It looks like Ms. Mohapela is encountering issues of connectivity. Seems to have been the overriding theme somehow today. But I would like to take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to first thank the team that brought this and made this possible, the EDSE team, led by Carla, Odette, Datenda, Daniel. It's been a pleasure working with you, team, in bringing these webinars to where it's needed the most. I can't even thank enough the European Union for the funding that they've put in to make sure that we achieve this. My team at CEDA for all the support in trying to, make sure that these webinars are known. The marketing team for assisting us with the recordings, but also just for today to thank all the panelists and everyone who had an input in today's session. Last but not least, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming in and joining this webinar. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and it's been a pleasure being with you today. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you.
Billy?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.